What's up, everybody? It's JT Sports back to you guys with another video, and I'm here with the Cincinnati Bengals 2019 quarterback preview. Going to be previewing and going through all of the quarterbacks currently on the Cincinnati Bengals roster, and going to be giving my opinion on the whole entire quarterback group. So before I begin, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Little NFL videos, NFL content daily. I also live stream every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern time with a live call-in show when people can call in and give their thoughts and just ask questions and talk about the stuff that's happening in the NFL. And also, you guys have a team that you guys want me to preview. Make sure to comment that team and the position for that team that you guys want me to preview down in the comment section down below. So the Cincinnati Bengals, their quarterback group, Andy Dalton's going to be the starter. But the biggest question is, what about the guys who's behind Andy Dalton? Because a lot of people want to move on from Andy Dalton and stuff like that. And I don't think Andy Dalton is necessarily a bad quarterback. And I think the quarterbacks that they have behind them, I'm not really sold on. If they really want to move on from Andy Dalton, I don't think it would be in the middle of the season because I don't really like the group of quarterbacks who they have behind them. Because think about it. We have some quarterbacks on this roster like Jeff Driskel. If people were so high on Jeff Driskel, then why hasn't he took the starting job from Andy Dalton yet? So that's the thing that I have with this whole quarterback debacle that's going on in Cincinnati. Not really much of a debacle. I feel if they want to move on from Andy Dalton, they'll probably do it after this season. So first guy we have up is Andy Dalton. In 2018, had 2,566 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, completed 61.9% of his passes. Last season, I think if he was able to stay healthy, I think he was on the way to putting up a pretty solid season. Probably one of the better seasons that he has had so far in his career before he ended up getting injured. And I think with having that new head coach and Zach Taylor, offensive minded coach, that's going to be able to benefit Andy Dalton. And also, when you look at the weapons that he has around him, you're going to have AJ Green back fully healthy. You also have Tyler Boyd, who was probably one of the breakout stars from last NFL season. Then you got Joe Mixon back there. The offensive line looks to be coming together pretty well. So it's going to be interesting to see how Andy Dalton is going to be able to succeed with the talent around him because, like I said earlier, Andy Dalton isn't going to get benched in the middle of the season unless he plays absolutely terrible. And when I mean terrible, he has to play absolutely garbage to end up getting benched in the middle of the season. But Andy Dalton always plays pretty well to at least keep his job during the season. So with Andy Dalton, if he gets benched, I don't think he's going to end up getting benched in the middle of the season. Maybe if the Cincinnati Bengals are out of the playoff hunt, then maybe he gets benched there. But other than that, I think Andy Dalton normally plays pretty well to keep his job. I'm not saying he plays very out of his mind and that he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm just saying, as in terms of keeping his job during the NFL season and not getting benched, he normally does pretty well. So I'm not really worried about him getting benched. But the thing that I am worried about is how he's going to be able to have success with this time around him because a lot of Bengals fans have been pretty fed up with what Andy Dalton has been doing the past couple of seasons. And I have to agree, but I do think that Andy Dalton has had some pretty successful seasons as well. And also, I think Andy Dalton, he's not a bad quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback neither. I put him in that average category. He's not a quarterback who's going to win you games, but he's not a quarterback who's going to lose you a lot of games either. It just really depends on the talent that he has around him. And since he has a really good offensive mind like a Zach Taylor, then you got AJ Green, you got Tyler Boyd, you got Joe Mixon. So he has talent around him. So I think Andy Dalton, if the Cincinnati Bengals do choose to move on from Andy Dalton, it won't be in the middle of the season. It will probably be after this coming season because Andy Dalton always plays pretty solid enough to keep his job. So I don't think Andy Dalton's going to end up getting benched. And the quarterback that he has behind him aren't anything that should be taken as a threat, really. Because Ryan Finley, I like Ryan Finley a lot. The Cincinnati Bengals drafted him in this year's NFL draft. And a lot of Bengals fans have been asking me, they've been asking me, if Andy Dalton gets injured, could Ryan Finley come in and have a Lamar Jackson type season? And by what they mean by Lamar Jackson type season, not running the football, they mean Can Ryan Finley help the Bengals get to the playoffs, go on a crazy run, win about 8, 9 games, and get them to the playoffs? And it's possible, but I'm not really that high on Ryan Finley. And here's the reason: Ryan Finley, during his time at NC State, was known as Alex Smith, but without the athleticism that Alex Smith had. He's pretty much a check down guy who's always going to take the short passes, doesn't really take a lot of deep shots down the field, isn't really aggressive like that. He's really conservative. So I don't really know if the Bengals will want a guy like a Ryan Finley to start. He could end up being a pretty good backup, but I don't really think a guy like Ryan Finley could really take the Bengals over the top really because he's just so conservative. I think they probably want a more aggressive guy. And I get Zach Taylor's an offensive minded coach. So, of course, he's supposed to elevate the quarterbacks that he has in that system. But I'm not really that sold on Ryan Finley. And I'm not really that sold on him being that QB2 as well. I still think I need to see a little bit more of him. I at least need to see what he can do in the preseason before I consider him the Cincinnati Bengals' second quarterback. I think that Ryan Finley can end up being a pretty solid quarterback in the NFL, but for right now, I just need to see a little bit more out of him. I know Cincinnati Bengals fans think that he could end up taking Andy Dalton's place, and that potentially could be true, but I just want to hold on that, and I at least want to see what he's able to do in the NFL preseason. He brings a lot of good things to the table for the Cincinnati Bengals, but for me, he's just a little bit too conservative if the Cincinnati Bengals are looking for a franchise guy. So if you're looking for a franchise guy, I don't think Ryan Finley is the answer. I think they probably should end up taking a quarterback in the 2020 NFL draft. Ryan Finley, he's a good option to have, but he's not really a franchise guy, at least right now, in my opinion. Still has a long ways to go in terms of development. So next up, we have Driskel. Now, Driskel, he's a guy that I'm really high on. I really like what I saw out of Driskel last season. Passed for 1,006 yards, had 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, completed 59.7% of his passes. Um, if you forget the 4 fumbles that he had last season, Driskel to me came in and I think he was pretty solid. I don't know why Cincinnati Bengals fans keep on elevating Ryan Finley over this guy. In my opinion, I think Driskel is the quarterback two for at least right now until the preseason comes around and we see what these two guys can do in the preseason. But for me, I think Driskel played very solid and other than the 4 fumbles, he was pretty solid. Yeah, he completed 59.7% of his passes, but he had some very solid games as well. And I think Driskel, with his athleticism and what he's able to do running the football as well, that could add another wrinkle in the Zach Taylor offense if the Cincinnati Bengals do want to bench Andy Dalton in the middle of the season, which I doubt that would happen. But if that situation does come in, I think Driskel will probably be the guy who I would roll with other than Ryan Finley because I'm not taking anything away from Ryan Finley, but I just never seen Ryan Finley play in the NFL game versus Driskel. He has a couple of starts under his belt and he has a little bit of experience. And I think he's going to improve if he's able to get another shot with the Cincinnati Bengals because he wasn't awful when he played for the Cincinnati Bengals. I thought he played in pretty well considering a guy who didn't really have that much NFL experience. So I think Driskel, I think in my opinion, he would be my quarterback too for at least right now going into the preseason because I've never seen Ryan Finley suit up for an NFL game, and Driskel has that experience. And other than the 4 fumbles that he had, he was pretty solid. So I think Driskel he's going to have a chance to compete for that second quarterback spot, competing with Ryan Finley. And if he's able to win that spot, I think he could potentially fill in for Andy Dalton if they do choose to go their separate ways and end up benching them in the middle of the season or Andy Dalton ends up getting injured, I think Driskel would be my guy who I would end up rolling with just because he has experience. And I think he's going to end up improving because I really like what I saw from Driskel last season. He had a couple of solid games. And also, Driskel, this guy, other than the fumbles, pretty solid. And he's also going to improve as well. Of course, people are going to look at the completion percentage. But I mean, 59.7%, that's basically 60% of your passes if you want to go ahead and round that up. So Driskel, I think he's pretty solid. And in my opinion, if Andy Dalton was to get benched in the middle of the season or end up getting injured, he'll be the guy that I will end up rolling with Next up, we have Jacob Dalugalu. Now, he came from a smaller college. A lot of people were high on him during the NFL Combine and during that stuff like that. Everybody thought he could end up being the next Carson Wentz. And I was quick to slow down those speculations because everybody's so quick to think just because somebody doesn't play in Division One football and they're a solid quarterback with solid arm and good size, everybody thinks that they're freaking the next coming of Carson Wentz. This guy is not that. He has a lot of things that he has to work on, but I think he does have some potential. He has pretty good size as well, has a pretty good arm. So I think with a little bit of development, he could end up being a pretty solid backup in the NFL. Maybe he could end up becoming the starter for another NFL team. But I think Jacob Dalugalu, I'm interested in seeing what he does in the preseason. So this is it for this video. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section down below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content. And thanks for watching.